Okay, in the previous two videos we had talked about detecting patterns in poetry, as in stanzas when we see paragraphs inside of it, as well as counting the number of lines and making sure that each stanza has a certain pattern to it, or if it doesn't, why it wouldn't, as well as counting the syllables per line and seeing what kind of meter it is. Previous video we also talked about finding similes and metaphors, which are comparisons of two unlike things, hyperboles, which are exaggerations, and also personification, which means to give human characteristics to non-human ideas. For this video, then, we need to kind of look at words in context. When you're reading for the ECA, you're going to have to figure out what words mean that you are not familiar with. For this video, I'm going to focus on a few words inside of this poem. Noon, curious, ample, and then way. So one of the things that you got to kind of figure out is what the definition of the word means inside of its context. In the previous video, we talked about curious. Curious is the feature, curiosity is a feature of searching for knowledge or being inquisitive about things. But in this case, curious doesn't mean that. It actually means strange. So you've got to be able to infer what words mean based upon their context. Also then, we talked about the word ample and also what it's unlike. So, I do not know the ample bread, 'twas so unlike the crumb. And when we look at that, if we use compare and contrast to figure out the logic of it, we'd be able to infer that ample means enough or plenty. Also, part of the meaning of the poem here is very important when we come to being able to understand what the word way means. And a lot of times when we say way, we're referring to like a way of doing things or some procedures. But in this case, we're talking about either a path or a road or the rules of how things are in a particular area compared to a different area in the poem. So being able to figure out what words in context mean is very important for the ECA and also for understanding what this poem is like. So you got to make sure that when you look at what words are, that you may have to turn their definition a degree this way or a degree that way in order to understand what the author truly meant.